Hello Stampers, this is Yana Smakula for My Favorite Things. Welcome back for another video tutorial. In this video, I have a set of clean and simple or minimalistic Christmas cards featuring the My Favorite Things Iconic Christmas Stamp Set. The Iconic Christmas Set consists of a multitude of tiny holiday imagery. You have loads of Christmas trees in different styles, shapes, and sizes. You have reindeer, a small and a large one. There's also a holiday cabin, an ornament, and various stars. All of these icons can be used alone to accent your Christmas crafting or together to create unique holiday patterns and backgrounds. You can even use these to stamp your own wrapping paper. How fun would that be? I'm all about creating unique backgrounds and patterns for my cards, so I decided to use the various images from this set to create simple and easy to mass-produce patterns for my Christmas projects. And I'll show you how to do that in this video. I started by stamping the images in various colors of ink onto white cardstock. I first picked all of the Christmas tree images that I wanted to use, and I stamped them all using my Misty stamping tool in 3 shades of green: a darker green, a medium green, and a light green. This gave me a very good mix of colors, sizes, and shapes. So first, go ahead and pick the tree images you'd like to stamp, and then stamp them in various shades of green. Next, I stamped the reindeer in light brown ink. And again, I stamped several images to make sure I had enough for my cards. And using Misty makes it very easy. Now, there is a single ornament stamp in this set. So I stamped that using a clear block because that was a lot faster than using Misty. And I also used several shades of pink and red for the ornaments. Now, I have already pre-planned a color palette for these cards, and I wanted to use softer, more pastel colors, so not traditional, vibrant red and green. I would suggest you do the same. So first, select the color combination you'd like to use for your cards, and then stamp the images you want to use for your backgrounds in your selected colors. I also stamped a bunch of houses in pretty pink and also light gray colors. I really like how pink and gray go together. Now there's even a little star stamp included in this set, and I stamped that using yellow ink. Now you could also heat emboss these images in various colors of embossing powder. Think about simply embossing these in gold or silver, cutting them out and using them on a dark background to make a very modern card. Now, what makes this stamp set unique is the presence of coordinating dies. So you have coordinating die for every single image, no matter how small, no matter how tiny. Even that little yellow star, that too has a coordinating die. I used the dies off camera and cut all of my stamped images out. Now that did take a little bit of time, but to be honest, I did stamp quite a lot of images for these cards. You can certainly skip using the coordinating dies and simply stamp the images directly onto your background if you're using a white background, but I prefer to add dimension to my cards, and having dies to cut these icons out makes it so much easier. Plus, I love to layer my die cuts, and layering die cuts is best when the images are cut out. If you don't cut them out, you'll have to mask them, and masking tiny icons like these could be very hard. And the third reason for cutting them out is this allows you to use these images on a different color background, not just white. Like I'm doing here, I'm using a pale pink background. Once I had everything cut out, I sorted the pieces on my desk. You can see that I have a pile with reindeer, a pile with ornaments, a pile with houses, a pile with stars, and also a bunch of smaller piles with various shaped trees. This made the next step of the process a lot easier. If you have a little sorting dish, you can use that to help you sort all of your die cuts as well. Now, the next step is creating the background or the pattern for your card. For my first example, I wanted to create a full card background. Now, I envisioned a pattern contained on the card front with about a 1/4 inch border from the edge. I picked and placed the sentiment that I wanted to use for this card at the bottom of my panel. This way, I know not to place any icons onto that area when I'm planning the element placement. At this point, I play around and I just position things. I do not adhere anything just yet. I simply pick the images that I want to use. I group them. I add foam adhesive to the back. I place the images onto the background, but I do not adhere them just yet. This way, I can still move things around. I can rearrange element placement, and I can basically easily work on my background and move things the way I want. I divided the panel into 3 horizontal sections and 3 vertical sections. Now, the 3 horizontal sections are a lot more prominent. You can see I have 3 rows here. The vertical sections aren't as prominent, but I do have images somewhat grouped so that there are 3 groupings in each row. I used my crystal katana tool to help me position the little pieces and move them around when needed. You can also use tweezers, and I actually highly recommend using some sort of a pickup tool to help you build your backgrounds. Once I was completely happy with the element placement, I used another identical background panel and I stamped the sentiment where I had it pre-planned on my test panel. I used VersaFine Onyx Black ink and stamped the sentiment using Mini Misty stamping tool. You can see that I now have 2 panels. My card front panel on the left, that's the one that will actually go on the front of my card, and then my test panel on the right. Now I need to transfer the images from the panel on the right onto the panel on the left and adhere them. I just do this one image at a time, starting in the corner. So I'm not starting in the center. I'm making sure that I start in the corners and then I fill the center in. So I'll first do the top row, specifically the outer corners, and this way I can make sure that the elements are properly spaced. And then I will do the bottom corners, again, to make sure that everything is properly spaced and that I didn't group some elements too tightly together. I then finish the bottom row and move on to adding the pieces from the middle row to complete the background. Now, every single element is popped up. Some are layered. For example, the reindeer is layered over the tree in the top left-hand side corner, and so is the house in the bottom right-hand side corner. And even the little yellow stars are popped up on this card. You can, by all means, stamp the stars directly onto the background, and I do that for my second project. But if you are using a colored background panel like I'm doing here, it is better if the stars are cut out so that they stand out. So with that done, I can adhere the panel onto an A2 white top folding card base. The card already looks great as is, but I would rather take it one step further, and I can do that with the help of various embellishments. I'm going to add quite a few gems to dress up the largest Christmas tree. I've added gems to look like tree ornaments, and I also added gems onto the background of the card. Now, a Christmas card like this is never complete, to me, without snow. So I'm going to add some white snow onto the background. And you can do that in many different ways. You can either use a white jelly roll pen, or you can add some enamel embellishments, or you can use Nuvo drops. I simply dotted a bunch of drops onto the background between the images, mimicking falling snow. I made some bigger dots, some smaller dots, filling the background in. So here's a closer look at this card once finished. I really love the way it turned out, and of course, I love all of the little Christmas icons. Now, if you aren't into creating a full card background, you can create a small cluster and contain that cluster within a shape. Here, I die cut a circle shape to contain my scene, but you can also use other simple shapes, perhaps a heart, a star, even an elongated triangle to look like a Christmas tree. Here's a look at both of the cards I have for you today, created with the My Favorite Things iconic Christmas stamp set. I had a blast making these cards and playing with the various icon images from this set. I hope you feel inspired to create. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys. I'll see you next time.